What's up, Giants fans? It's your boy Noname back at it with another Giants training camp video. This time we'll be covering the training camp practice number 4. Took place on Sunday, July 28th, 2019. Now then, first things first, before we get into the actual practices during training camp, as y'all know here at the Hub, I like to cover the injuries first. Obviously, we still got Shepard out until what is projected to be week 1, week 2. Corey Coleman out for the entire season with the ACL. Darius Slayton out with a hamstring injury. According to coach Pat Shermer, we should be seeing him very soon. He's progressing well. George Asafa-Ajay, our 7th round left tackle that we drafted this year, he was unable to practice today, and he's still in the league's concussions protocol. He should be back within a week or so, though. Mark McLaurin, he's questionable. He was diagnosed with a fracture in his foot after he was stepped on Saturday's practice. And finally, Sam Beal, similar thing to Darius Slayton. Did I mention Slayton yet? I can't remember, but Slayton's out with the hamstring. But Sam Beal, similar to Slayton, tweaked his hamstring, and according to the coach, Pat Shermer, they should both be back soon. So then, with that out of the way, let's get into the practice. Let's get into Sundays here. Now that in general, I got the chance to see all of Sunday's practice. I had free time today, so I actually got a lot of time to look at it. It looked like a very normal practice, without diving too deep into it. The offense performed fine. The defense performed fine. We got a couple big plays here and there, but overall, it was a nice, average. Nothing too special. Nothing bad happened. It was just like a nice, good old football practice. One thing I was definitely looking for, though, putting all that aside, one thing I was definitely looking for, since we're out with our top 3 receivers, I was looking to see how this receiving core would perform, how certain guys would step up, who would step up, who would take in that limelight, who would go into that role and say, don't worry guys, I'm here, you could throw the ball to me, I'll catch it, I'll run, I'll get you the yards after the catching and touchdowns and whatnot. I was really looking to see if anybody would step up. Now then, with Slayton, according to Shermer, he should be back soon. To me, that means he should be back sometime this upcoming week. I thought he would be a guy that would step in when he comes back, because throughout OTAs and spring practices and before he went down, he was really improving a lot, showing us that he had more to his game than just blazing speed. He could catch balls that are 50-50 and whatnot. He could use his height to his advantage. But for the past 2 days, 2 receivers that have been doing that, stepping into that role and improving at a really good rate, are Alonzo Russell and Reggie White Jr. Now, Alonzo Russell has had a lot of his reps with Alex Tanney, and Reggie White Jr. has had a lot of his reps with Daniel Jones. So what I'm about to say, obviously take it with a grain of salt. These guys are not performing with the first team reps. They're performing with the second and third team reps. So who knows, maybe if we do bring them up, they go back down to earth, or hopefully we bring them up and they continue their good performance, because these are guys that have been go-to receivers for their respective quarterbacks. Alonzo Russell, he was a favorite red zone target of Alex Tanney, doing a great job out there using his body, twisting it to get the ball, catch the ball and whatnot. He's been doing the best job out of the third team receivers. And Reggie White Jr. today especially kind of showed out a little bit, showed his great athleticism on a couple of catches towards the end of practice with Daniel Jones. Targeted him in the red zone, and he just used his hops, which I didn't know he had. He jumped up real high to get the ball on a falling catch for a touchdown. Reggie White Jr. in general has been showing us a lot of his athleticism for the past 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, catching a lot of balls for Jones, and he's just looked really good. He has safe, sound hands, looks like he's using his technique properly, but what I'm really impressed by is his athleticism and how high he can jump and whatnot. He gets good separation, but not great separation from the cornerbacks, but I'm definitely impressed with him considering that he's an undrafted free agent out of Monmouth. And for those of you who don't know, Monmouth produced a couple of guys in the NFL, most notably Chris Hogan. He used to be with New England Patriots. I'm not sure where he is now, but they've produced good guys to the NFL. Now then, because we got a couple backups performing well, does that mean our wide receiver position is fixed? Our dilemma is fixed? No, it doesn't. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt because of who they're playing against. But this is a step in the right direction. I'll bring up Victor Cruz, the most popular example for Giants fans out there. He's basically a New York Giants legend. He was an undrafted free agent. Of course, he started off with the second and third team reps before he got up to the first team and eventually being a starter star receiver for the New York Giants. So anything is possible, and we're stepping in the right direction. Now, as it turns out, Kelvin Benjamin did not show up yesterday on Saturday for what people said he was going to come in to speak with the Giants or try out for the Giants and whatnot. That didn't happen. I still expect them to go out and sign like 1 or 2 free agents on the market and whatnot. If they don't, I'll really be surprised, but I'm going to trust Dave Gettleman, the front office, and Pat Shurmur with this wide receiver situation. I'm going to trust them on it. Now, moving on, I was talking about receivers. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about who's throwing the balls to them. Today, Daniel Jones, Eli, they had a really good day. Eli more so than Jones. Not to say that Daniel had a bad day, but Eli had a really good day. His ball was always on the money, on the dot. He was throwing lasers all over the place. Jones, very much the same. There was just really one play that stuck out in my mind where he didn't complete it, and that was because O'Shane Ximines, the X-Man, jumped up real high and batted the ball down. I think he was targeting, I think it was Russell Shepard he was targeting and whatnot. But they had really good days. They actually ran a few trick plays today with Russell Shepard. Jones took the snap. He tossed it to Paul Perkins, who then tossed it to Shepard, and Shepard ran it down on a sweep route. Speaking of which, Paul Perkins, I think this is the first time I've seen him on the field in a while. He looked good. Didn't look too great, but he looked good. I mean, obviously, he hasn't played in an NFL game since 2016. So don't expect, the world, the moon, and the stars from him. But he looked good. Second team unit looked good. The guy I wanted to talk about, though, was Kyle Lauletta, who, let's say, a year ago today, a lot of Giants fans thought that he was the future. And man, oh man, how much a lot has changed in that year. He looked good in the preseason, and then when we actually saw him up against some real NFL competition in the fourth quarter of a Washington game that we were winning by like 30-something points, he just wet the bed, stank up the whole joint, and nobody wants to see him again ever. And consistently throughout training camp, he's consistently let everybody down, let whatever fans he has left down. He's been definitely the worst performer in the quarterback room throughout this spring training and now summer training. This guy right here, like I told you yesterday, he had an interception on Corey Ballantyne that looked like he just threw it straight to Corey, more so than Corey made a defensive play. Today he fumbled a snap. He threw a ball into the ground. There was a couple times where he threw it where nobody was, and I'm not sure if he had interception. I don't think so, but it was just a really bad quarterback's performance from Kyle Lauletta, and it's all looking like he might be the one they cut. I always thought it would have been Tanny, because I thought that Lauletta was going to be better than Tanny, but I don't know what happened to him. Maybe it's all in his mental capacity, you know what I'm saying? It's all in his head after that Redskins game, that, he's just maybe it's something psychologically wrong with him right now. Maybe he's not in his right mind space, but he's just looked terrible since that Redskins game. Never looked back the same from what he saw him, say, training camp last year. But heads up, guys, if there's any quarterbacks they're going to cut, I'm going to put my vote on Kyle Lauletta. We're definitely going into this year with 3 quarterbacks, I think. And I think it's going to be Eli, Jones, and Tanny. And the reason I say we're going to go in with 3 is because I think we went in with 3 last year, and it was Eli, Lauletta, and Tanny. So just a little thing on Lauletta there. Next topic I want to cover is the offensive line performance. Today they did a really good job. The defense definitely got pressure on them, but it was noticeably less compared to yesterday, and from what the reports said on Friday, today's pressure was noticeably less. And that's more so the linemen, the offensive linemen just sort of doing well in the one-on-one matchups, more so than the defense just being bad at producing pressure. I think, personally, the Giants are going to have some great interior pressure this year, and then depending on how Carter develops and whoever starts opposite of him, we could possibly have a good pass rush. But interior-wise, I think we're going to have some good pressure produced there. The guys that we're really trying to look at, though, were Mike Remmers and Nate Solder. Both of our tackles coming off of surgery, coming off their injuries. I wanted to see how they're progressing, because yesterday with the full pads on, they didn't do too great. There was a lot of mistakes up front. They looked kind of sloppy. Today was definitely better, but I was seeing more pressure come off the right side than the left. Nate Solder, he's definitely overpaid. I'm not going to argue with anybody on that, but he's a good left tackle. He's a top 10 left tackle in the league. I firmly believe that. He played well. Not up to what I saw, say, the last 4 games the Giants played last year, where Nate Stoller was absolutely outstanding. Nate Stoller, Will Hernandez, and Jamon Brown were absolutely outstanding the last 4 games of the year in the 2018 season. He's not there yet. I expect him to get there. He's still recovering from surgery. He's coming off a major surgery, and he's doing well. Mike Remmers, while he's performing better than Chad Wheeler, and no disrespect to Chad Wheeler, he's just simply what I think would be a career backup. He's not up to par for what I would want. He's still looking a bit sloppy. I'm still seeing some people get through the right side. I think it was Baker, DeAndre Baker, or somebody else, somebody that wears 37. I saw him got in the backfield a couple of times. And that's Mike Remmers' side coming off of the tackle. Like, he's keeping pace with a defensive end, winning his hand-to-hand battles, it seems like. But because the defensive end is switching and basically running him off to the side, it opens a big gap for anybody to run through. And that's what I want him to improve on. Try to close that gap a little bit, because that's just an open door for anybody to come through on. But in general, they seem to be progressing fine after their surgery, after their injury. The last thing we need on this team right now is more injuries, because it seems like the injury bug is starting to get to us. But I like where they're going. Let me know what you guys think on that. The final thing I want to touch on today is with a couple of our receivers out, the special teams game has kind of changed up. As we all know, Corey Coleman, the reason I love him so much is because he was our best, or our second best special teams player last year. No disrespect to Aldrick Rosas, definitely best kicker in the league, definitely our best special teams player. But Corey Coleman is a close second. I believe he had some crazy stat where he averaged over like 25 yards per kick return or something like that. He was just really good. We always got some positive out of him in the special teams game. Now with him obviously gone, and I forgot who our punt returner was last year, but we got 2 new guys out there, and these 2 guys have spent a lot of the time in their careers on the punt and kick returns. Jabril Peppers and Cody Latimer. They were out there today. Mostly Peppers was out there practicing his punt return game. Wasn't necessarily running stuff back, but more so we had Riley Dixon out there punting the ball towards him. He was just fielding it out, practicing catching it, making sure he doesn't drop anything. We don't want a repeat of that Jacksonville game last year where whoever we had out there on punt return just dropped the ball and ended the game for us. But we had Jabril Peppers out there, and I saw Cody Latimer out there for a couple of the kick return drills. So I'm kind of happy about that, because we got our best guy out. Why not fill it in with 2 guys who are notoriously good in the punt and kick return games. Cody Latimer, when we picked him up, we actually thought we were going to put him out there. I'm surprised it took this long. I expect him to perform well out there. He did good things for the Broncos when he was on kick return. And Jabril Peppers on punt return is something dangerous. He did it in college. He was a monster at it. He did it with the Browns. He was a monster at it. So I think our special teams is running along fine with the, with a couple guys out. We're replacing them just fine. So that's what I got for y'all today. Let me know what y'all think. Like I said, not too much of an exciting practice, but a good practice. A nice calm one. Everybody really improving at their own pace. Everything looks good so far. Hope that there's no more bad news on the injury side. I'm out. You're